Today we're going to talk about extension mobility, how to configure it, and how to use it. Over the years I've been kind of surprised at how many people either don't know about extension mobility or are just real excited about it when I show them how to configure it. So even though it's a feature that's been in Communications Manager for a very long time now, I figured it would be a good idea to go ahead and go over how to configure it. So let's first talk about what extension mobility is used for. So if you have a phone that is going to be used by multiple people, and each one of those people have their own extension, you can either configure all those extensions on the same phone, which means that everybody has access to every single one of those extensions, or you can configure extension mobility. That means that they can log into the phone when they're there. It brings up their extension with their own specific settings for their own user, and then when they're done, they log out, and then the next person comes in, logs in, and they have their own extension and their own settings. And you don't have to worry about people messing with each other's settings or the extension. So let's go ahead and dive right in and talk about how to configure it. The first thing we're going to want to do within Call Manager, we're going to go to Serviceability and make sure that the Extension Mobility service is started. So let me log in here. And we're going to go to Tools, Service Activation, and we're just going to make sure that the Extension Mobility service on your Call Manager is started. So ours is checked, so we're good to go. The next thing that we're going to want to do, let me go back to here. The next thing that we're going to want to do is go and add the actual Extension Mobility service that will be loaded on the phones. I already have one loaded, so I'm going to bring it up just to show you what it looks like. We're going to go to Device, Device Settings, and then Phone Services. I have one here called Extension Mobility. I'll go ahead and add a new one so you can see what it looks like, but the reason that I'm coming here is because this big long URL here, and I'll put this up on the screen so that you can see what the URL is so that you can add it to your Call Manager. It's going to be pretty much the same except for the IP address for all the Call Managers. So I'm going to go ahead and just add this as a new service. We're going to call it EM, short for Extension Mobility. The description is going to be called Extension Mobility Demo, and the URL is going to be that big long hairy URL that we had before. Again, I'll put this on the screen so everybody can see it. And we're going to check Enable, and we're going to save it. So that's all that's involved in creating the phone service. The next thing that we want to do is, and really it's in any order that you want to. So the first thing that we're going to do is make our device profile so that when we log in as a user, that it brings over all the settings on that device profile. So we're going to click on Device Profile. I'm going to add a new one. When you select your profile type here, just because you select something like, I'm going to select IP Communicator. Just because I select IP Communicator doesn't mean I couldn't take this same profile and log into a 7940 series phone. Now, if I log into a 7940 series phone and I have the 8 buttons configured on my IP Communicator, it's only going to bring two of those first two buttons up because the 7940 only has 2 buttons. So just configure it with whatever type of phone they're going to mainly use. I'm going to do IP Communicator since that's what I'm going to show you what it looks like here in a little while. We're going to call it Mob EM for Mobility, Extension Mobility. We'll call it Mobility User, Extension Mobility Description. We're going to give it, pretty much configure it like a phone. We'll give it a phone button template. If you want to, you can give it a specific soft key template if you don't want to inherit it from the phone or from the device pool of the phone that they log into. And that's pretty much it there. Then we're going to add a line just like we do on a regular phone. So I'm going to add 3507, which we used in our mobility demo earlier. I'm going to make it in the Plano internal. And I'm just going to save it. I'm not going to worry about any of the configuration. That's already configured on another phone, so just know that you're going to configure that just like an extension on a phone would be configured. The next thing we're going to do is go to User Management, End User, and we're going to find our mobility user that we used in a previous demonstration. And we're just going to make sure that in this section for extension mobility that we make sure that the mob EM extension mobility profile is set as that user's profile. Okay, so now we've got just about everything done. There's one thing that we forgot to do on the device profile, and this is something that I forget fairly frequently just because I always think about putting it on the phone but not on the device profile. So we're going to go back to the device profile now. We're going to pull up our device profile, and the key thing that we need to remember here is that we need to subscribe to the extension mobility service that we just created. And the reason for this is if you don't do this, you're going to be able to log into extension mobility, but you're not going to be able to log out once you're in, because it's going to copy across all the device profiles services when they log in. So none of the services that are on the phone will exist anymore. So next thing we'll do is we're going to go to the actual phone, and you're going to need to do this next section on any phone that you want somebody to be able to log in with extension mobility on. So if you have a lot of phones that you're going to do this, it's probably best to do it through the bulk admin tool. But right now we're just going to worry about doing it on one particular phone, and then we can then you can do the same changes that I'm making, just do it through bulk. Okay, so first thing that we're going to do is go down to on the phone. I missed it here. We're going to scroll down to enable extension mobility. This phone already actually has it checked, but you'll need to check it. That's not a default setting. It's just I had checked that earlier. Then the other thing that you'll want to do is you're going to want to subscribe the phone, and again, this is for all phones that you want people to be able to log into. You're going to subscribe them to the extension mobility service as well. And so once you've done that, your extension mobility is configured, and we'll bring up a soft phone to show you. And when you configure that service, just like when you configure any other service, it's going to reset the phone real quick to get those new service settings. When we go to services, now that the phone is reset, we're going to see that we've got extension mobility, or EM as we called it, in our list of services. When we select that, it's going to ask for the username and PIN number that we want to log in with. And this is the same username and PIN number that's configured in Communications Manager. So when I submit that, it's going to reset the phone, and it'll bring it up with the settings that we defined in our mobility profile. So now our phone is registered. You can see that it's got the extension 3507 on it that we assigned to our device profile. And when the user wants to log out, they can just go to Services and select the EM service to log out.